Here's why I believe that it's a very good idea to avoid saying I slept or I will go to sleep. When we talk about the very nature of sleep, this is something that is not guided by us by our will or by our conscious mind. Although it sounds very poetic, the nature of sleep, if it had to be expressed through language, would sound like this: Sleep descended upon me. Falling asleep is not a conscious activity. I can move my hand right now, and this is a conscious activity that can be directed by my will. However, falling asleep is not something that is triggered by a conscious activity. You can place yourself in a position to fall asleep. For example, you can lie on the bed, but for you to actually be in a state of deep sleep would require sleep to descend on you. And the reason I'm saying this is very important is that language represents our view of the world. And to say that you slept would mean that you made a conscious choice to go to sleep, right? How many times have you sat in front of the TV and fallen asleep? Now, fallen asleep is also a very good way to express how sleep descends upon us. Because think of the time you were watching television and you wanted to stay awake, but you were not able to do so. So you use this term, I fell asleep. So anytime you speak with respect to sleep, it is a good idea to say, I fell asleep. I think sleep descended upon me sounds quite ridiculous in common parlance. Um, it's way too poetic, but I fell asleep sounds far more accurate than I slept. Of course, you would use I slept for 8 hours sometimes, but I don't think that's accurate. And the reason I don't think that is accurate is it is far better to say I was asleep for 8 hours rather than I slept for 8 hours. Because whenever we describe an activity that we perform, it is generally an activity that we can do consciously. Now, breathing happens subconsciously for the large part of our waking hours. However, we do have the capacity to consciously breathe in and breathe out. However, sleep is one of those activities in life, or I wouldn't call it an activity. Sleep is that state of being in life which is not guided by the conscious mind. So, do not say that you slept for 8 hours. Say that you were asleep for 8 hours. This is a very subtle shift in language, but I believe this can have implications for how you see the world.